This Justin. McDreamy wasn't so dreamy. Despite fierce competition, Patrick Dempsey landed the role of McDreamy because that was the exact quality he supposedly possessed. He was dreamy. But after a decade as one of television's hottest hunks, that changed. We have it on excellent authority that behind the scenes, this actor was more of a nightmare. So why are we only hearing about it 6 years after he left the show? It's time for some answers. How McDreamy won our hearts. Meredith Grey might be the titular character, but for many fans of Grey's, Patrick Dempsey was the reason to tune in every week. And you can thank Shonda Rhimes for that. The show's creator has always insisted that Derek Shepherd is the ultimate fantasy, the perfect man. Occasionally, that caused drama in the writer's room. If anyone thought the neurosurgeon's dialogue or actions were too perfect or even slightly unrealistic, Shonda disagreed. She'd remind them that it was precisely the point, elaborating, "He's McDreamy, he's the perfect man." This gave Patrick's character an enviable and unusual superpower in Shondaland. He has no dark secret, which means he's almost never on the receiving end of drama, and if he was, it was short-lived. Writer Eric Buckman explained, "Maybe McDreamy makes a big mistake in surgery and kills someone, or develops an addiction. What is his deep, dark secret?" But Shonda was insistent that Derek was not the character to do that with. And it makes sense. After all, he's essentially Prince Charming in a lab coat with a great head of hair. And Patrick Dempsey has the personality to match because he charmed just about everyone he met, and nearly all the ladies behind the scenes at Grey's admitted to having a crush on him at some stage. Writer Joan Rader even suspected Patrick enjoyed the attention. And if you don't believe her, just ask the lady who played Heather Brooks, Tina Majorino. She gushed, "Yes, he's that charismatic in real life. Yes, he is dreamy up close. Yes, his hair is that awesome." But there was a huge downside to all that attention and love. It contributed to the actor developing quite the ego, which led to some decidedly uncharming behavior. From McDreamy to McNasty. Entertainment Weekly journalist Lynette Rice is a Grey's superfan, and she's just written a tell-all book about what really goes on behind the scenes at Shondaland's most famous show and how everything changed when Patrick Dempsey left. There's proof. Lynette interviewed almost 100 people who've worked with the actor over the years to give us a shocking look at McDreamy's descent to McNasty. Her book is called How to Save a Life, but it should have been called How to Break a Heart because in it, we discover the dark side of Patrick Dempsey. So how did the actor go from dreamy to what former executive producer James Perriott described as terrorizing the set, including giving his co-stars PTSD? Well, it happened slowly over a decade, and it's partly our fault for demanding our weekly prescription of eye candy. Because always playing someone perfect meant that anytime he wasn't perfect in real life, people were shocked. That pressure, combined with long hours and unpredictable work schedules, started to take a massive toll on the actor. Work became, well, work. As producer Janine Renshaw summarized, Patrick started complaining about long hours and late nights and often had to be reminded that the rest of the cast also kept those unsociable hours. It got worse, and eventually, full-out conflict started to break out on set. Janine explained that sometimes even Ellen Pompeo got frustrated with Patrick. By the 10th season of Grey's, that frustration had built. The stars were apparently constantly involved in heated debates and fights about work, and Shonda Rhimes was fed up. Initially, she decided to call in reinforcements to help manage Patrick and his various HR issues and asked James Perriott to help. But the damage was done. As James explained, "I think he was just done with the show. He didn't like the inconvenience of coming in every day and working. He and Shonda were at each other's throats." It was Shonda Rhimes who eventually forced Patrick's hand. She gave the network an ultimatum that either he left or she would. That would never happen because how could we have Shondaland without Shonda? Instead, it was decided that Patrick Dempsey would be written off, making McDreamy just a dream. But that posed a whole different kind of problem. The truth about that exit. By the time fans had noticed something wasn't right at Grey's, Patrick was already preparing to leave. For the first time in 11 seasons, the actor missed not 1, but 6 episodes of the show, and his viewers did not like it, which added pressure to the writing team because how could they possibly end McDreamy without upsetting the fans? James Perriott remembers that time as the toughest of his Grey's career because there was so much uncertainty. They were negotiating and trying to figure out what to do. Bringing him back was going to be too hard on the other actors. It would be more trouble than it was worth. Once the writers knew how to murder Meredith, see what I did there? The most important thing was to keep it secret until his final scene aired. And then, all hell broke loose on multiple fronts. At work, Patrick's departure wasn't celebrated the same way others had been. No party, no speeches, no selfies with cast members, no cake. This could have been due to the fact that McDreamy's last episode was so secret and hush-hush, but not according to director Rob Hardy. He suspected it was all because of the tension in the cast. The director elaborated, "I didn't see other actors showing up and saying, 'Hey, it's the last day, wanted to come and wish you well.' I didn't get that." Nevertheless, Patrick admitted that his departure was beautiful, even though it lacked the fanfare of other cast farewells. Okay, he did get a public farewell from Shonda Rhimes and Ellen Pompeo, but both were a little awkward. Ellen Pompeo's tweet focused only on the actor's character and her own excitement at going forward without Patrick. While Shonda shared a since-deleted tweet that read, "I absolutely never imagined saying goodbye to our McDreamy. His loss will be felt by all." And boy, she was right. Fans were shook. There was a Change.com petition to reinstate the character, and Shonda received tons of negative responses, which basically amounted to a huge "we hate you," all because they had no idea that the character they loved on screen was seen as a nightmare off-screen. But you know whose opinion we haven't gotten yet? Patrick Dempsey's. It's time to find out what he really thought of his Grey's exit. Patrick Dempsey has done some explaining. Lynette Rice's book didn't just feature opinions of everyone who worked with Patrick. She also spoke to the actor to get an official and honest response. And he didn't disappoint. But be warned, what he had to say might disappoint you. In addition to playing an amazing character, the biggest reason he agreed to play Derek was because of the paycheck. As he explained, it's hard to say no to that kind of money. How do you say no to that? It's very heady. But it did come at a cost, because he was perfect on screen. People expected him to be that way off screen, and it wasn't always possible. There's more. The long hours and unpredictable shooting schedules meant that Patrick hardly ever saw his family. He was working 15 hours a day for 10 months of the year over a decade, and it was hard on his home life, regardless of the cash he was making. It was hard, but you know what? Now that he's moved on, he's much happier. In fact, he was so happy that he agreed to come back in the most epic Grey's return to have ever happened.
Derek!
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what closure and growth looks like. I guess for the first time, we can see a silver lining to the freaking pandemic. For even more Greys and the shocking reasons behind cast exits, check out our other videos. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, stay awesome.